Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Basketball Bulletin. My name's Trevor Lane. We've got a lot to get into today. Partner in crime, Donnie Freeman, going to be joining me in just a few moments, but we got a lot of stuff that I wanted to get into, including the current state of the restricted free agents that are out there. Yes, those staring contests are still going on. Is the Kuminga thing over yet? No, it's not over yet, Chris. It is not. And we'll talk a little bit about what, not just Kuminga, but Cam Thomas, particularly, maybe asking for too much, and maybe true of all these guys. But we'll talk a little bit about that situation, what we know there, what's ultimately going to happen. Of course, we'll get into the free agency of a few other players as well. We'll talk a little bit about the buyout market while we're taking questions and comments from all of you. Welcome home. Yes, indeed. Yeah, just got home not long ago and jumping on here because we had some stuff we wanted to go through. In fact, we were going through, we were going to record a video and then said, you know what, we've got enough stuff here. Let's just do a live show, bring everybody in, and let's talk through all of these topics that we were going to talk about on a recorded video. So instead, we do it live. But I want to start off with this. Oh boy. The Kings want to trade Malik Monk or Devin Carter before signing Russell Westbrook. Yes. Michael says I'm tanned. Yeah, I got a little bit of sun. I did indeed get a little bit of sun on my little trip there to see some family in Florida. So the Kings want to trade Malik Monk or Devin Carter before signing Russell Westbrook. I get the desire to sign Russell Westbrook, to sign, well, a backup guard in general. Russell Westbrook, should that be the fit? Probably not. But trading Monk, trading Devin Carter before signing, is there concern that adding Westbrook will make too much of a logjam at the guard position on the roster? And then teams will have more leverage over the Kings? Is that a concern? I mean, it's just, and look, I get roster space wise, that's a thing too. But I've been saying half jokingly that I want Russell Westbrook to wind up with the Sacramento Kings, and I want him to be on the floor with DeRozan and Sabonis and Zach LaVine and all of these guys all at once, and Malik Monk. It would be a disaster in terms of skill sets conflicting with each other, where everybody is best when they have the ball in their hands, and that is such a Kings thing to do. But saying we're going to trade one of our other guards first before signing Russell, are we clearing room here for Russ? Because he's not that guy anymore. He's not that kind of player where you should be worried about clearing room for Russell Westbrook in your offense by moving somebody else. He's not the better. I don't have him as the better player than Malik Monk. And by the way, I thought Russ was just fine last season with Denver. I thought he really had some good moments, and you could make an argument that Russ on a $3 or $4 million minimum contract would be, let's call it $3.5 million, would be a real asset to teams and a real benefit. But the roster construction of the Kings just makes no sense. They're delving back into Kings territory. I don't know. If I'm Sacramento, like the chat is saying right now, they need to move. Chris is saying they need to move DeRozan. Yeah. They need to move DeRozan. They need to move DeRozan. They need to move multiple of Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis, and LaVine. I think they need to move two of those guys. And especially if you're going to bring in Russell Westbrook. But I don't think you should be at this point where we say we're waiting to move one of these guys to sign Russell Westbrook. Like, you're already there. You already have too many of guys on your roster that all do kind of the same thing or have the same base skill set. You don't need to move Malik Monk or Devin Carter, especially, in order to clear room for Russell Westbrook. If you really want Westbrook, just go get it. Sacramento is rebuilding, but they won't say it. If Sacramento is rebuilding, they're doing a terrible job of it. Because if they're rebuilding, they should trade Sabonis right now. Right now, while he's got 3 years under contract, while you can get something for him, do it now. Not saying you can't get something for him in the future, but if you're going to rebuild, then rebuild. Bottom out, rebuild. And I think that's probably what they should do, but they don't want to rip off that Band-Aid. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them to not want to rip off the Band-Aid, especially given how rough things have been for decades now for them. But yikes. And if I had a choice between the two, yeah, Thomas said I'd rather have Monk than Westbrook. Same. But if you were going to clear, if you told me you could clear Monk off the books and not take back any salary and then get Westbrook at $3.5 million or something. Okay, I get, maybe that's where you could have the discussion, right? Westbrook at $3.5 million, Monk at $18 million. But yeah, it's a surprising situation that the Kings find themselves in. And I don't fully understand why they're dead set on a backup point guard right now. Because I think Zach LaVine and DeRozan give you enough secondary playmaking to make things work there. But nonetheless, they apparently really want a backup guard and they really want it to be Russell Westbrook. And oh my God, I'm gonna watch the hell out of this Kings team because it's gonna be a train wreck here. I can't imagine this working out well on the floor for Sacramento, especially if the goal is to move on from Devin. Devin Carter was supposed to be like their plucky defensive guard, and you're gonna move on from him in order to bring in Westbrook. I don't know. I don't know, man. All right, jumping in now. We do have my guy Donnie Freeman. Donnie, Russell Westbrook to Sacramento. Somehow we're speaking it into existence, and now I'm kind of feeling bad for doing it.
Why? You've been saying the whole summer that you want to see him in Sacramento. So
really gonna happen, and they're gonna trade away Malik Monk or Devin Carter in order to make it happen.
Yeah, that's a little crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know why you told that lie. I was listening. You told that lie. You say you're gonna watch the hell out of the. You know damn well you ain't watching the Kings.
Oh, I know. I will watch them because for the same reason people watch Shaqtin' a Fool.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna watch them. I'm not saying it's not gonna be pretty. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that they actually had moved on, like that ship had sailed once they got Schroeder and stuff. But I'm surprised to see that we're back here. I'm surprised they want to get another point guard in, and namely Russell Westbrook. And secondly, I do wonder about, like, is Russ okay with being the backup? Would he be starting here? Like, I worry about the logistics of all of that. Yeah. But I mean, if
he'd be the backup. Oh, that's a good question, though.
Like,
does Russell Westbrook believe that he's better than Dennis Schroeder?
I'm sure he does.
He probably does.
Like I'm sure he does. So, like, I don't know, but they're just all over the place with this. I'm not sure if that's the avenue they should be trying to go, but nobody is surprised that the Kings are going to king. So,
right, man. Well, I hope if they do something like this and if they trade Malik Monk, it might be Malik Monk winds up in a trade for Jonathan Kuminga. I hope whatever happens, I hope that if they're going to trade Monk or Carter, maybe both, and then go sign Russ, I hope that whatever happens in that trade makes a lot of sense, right? It's something where you go, oh, okay, they got these guys. Now this is going to fit together better, because right now, I think the only team in the West, the only teams, I should say, in the West that fit together worse than the Kings are the Phoenix Suns, who by nature should not fit together right now, given the moves that they've made this summer. And they understand they've got work to do. And the Utah Jazz, who are rebuilding, and they're just worried about acquiring talent and not so much fit.
Yeah, I mean, really, the Kings should be trying to rebuild for one. But if they're not going to try to rebuild, I think they probably need to get rid of 2 of the top 4 most paid guys on this team and get pieces back that fit alongside the remainder of the other 2 that you have. And I'd assume that would be you're keeping LaVine and Sabonis, trying to get rid of DeRozan and Monk, and then getting pieces around those guys, more like wings, perimeter 3-and-D guys, things like that, or hard-nosed players like Sabonis. You really want to have like a defensive anchor on the team as well. Like I think you need to do a lot of shuffling of this roster, but and while I think Russ is still a solid player, I don't think that's the right direction to take with this. But I mean, this is a multi-year project, realistically. So
it's a multi-year something. I don't know what the goal is here for Sacramento right now. I don't know.
It's just to make the play-in, right?
It's just to make the play. And look, that's okay. That's okay. Not every team has to say, I'm going to go win a championship. If Sacramento's happy just making the play-in, I get it. After missing the playoffs for so long, I get it. I don't want bad things for Sacramento. All the ill will I had towards them in the early 2000s is gone. That's all dissipated at this point. The whole Lakers Kings thing. I want to see this team good and fun like they were a couple of years ago. and it just seems like they can't seem to get there, at least not consistently. And it's
However,
unfortunate.
however short-lived it was, I do think they stumbled on something with the team a couple years ago. And if they were only able to keep building on that, I think they would be pretty good right now. But they ultimately blew it up a year or so later. So,
well, speaking of free agent guards, let's talk about this from Mark Stein's Substack. Chris Paul, obviously, we know, wound up going to the Clippers. Family reasons, admirable as they are, decided to go to the Clippers so he could be close to family. I get it. Not going to argue with him on that. But Devin Booker was hoping he would become a Phoenix Sun, and he wanted Chris Paul to join them after Tyus Jones left. However, the Suns decided, rather than listen to what Devin Booker wants, who is their star that they are building around, for better or worse, that's what they're doing. He is, quote, their guy. The Suns opted instead to pursue Marcus Smart, who had Luka Doncic in his ear, ultimately getting him to the Lakers. And then the Suns responded by signing the guy the Lakers cut in order to sign Marcus Smart, which was Jordan Goodwin. They picked him up off of waivers. Then they signed Jared Butler to a non-guaranteed contract. So rather than go after Chris Paul, the Suns decided we're going to prioritize Marcus Smart. They missed there. They went and got Jordan Goodwin and then Jared Butler. Is this the better outcome? Like what would be better for the Suns? Would it be better had they, let's say, landed Chris Paul? Let's say they went all after Chris Paul and not Marcus Smart, and they got him. Would they be better off than they are right now?
No, maybe. I don't. I guess probably. I mean, do I think Chris Paul is better than Jordan Goodwin? Sure.
Yeah.
Do they need a point guard? Sure. I think ideally they would have gotten Smart, and man, that would have been pretty awesome to have Booker flanked by Smart and Brooks. That would have been that'd have been pretty nice, man. That would
that's a lot of defensive tenacity on one team.
Yeah, that would have been pretty nice. But I think ideally you get Smart, you sign him to a multi-year deal after that and all that stuff, and you just kind of, because he's on the same timeline I think as Booker too, you kind of just keep going and riding that wave with those guys. But I do like Jordan. I think that Jordan is somebody that has some upside. I think he performed pretty well for the Lakers. I think the Lakers should have and tried to and would have liked to have kept him and kept him as a part of what they were trying to build here or are trying to build. But I mean, of all these options, Chris Paul would have just been a retirement tour in a place that he's familiar with. And that's mostly it. Like, I don't really like, they're not really going to be more than probably a play-in team at best this year anyway. So I don't know if there's
been a little bit going around today that, maybe Chris Paul is walking back the idea of retiring this year and that sort of thing. Which I don't blame him. Look, it's not even August yet, right? Like, are you going to retire in March, May, April, May, June? Like, no, are you going to know for sure at that point? Maybe you will know for sure then, but right now you've got a full season to go through, I think, before you make that decision concrete. Although it did sound like this is probably the way he's leaning, that he ultimately will retire. But this Suns team needs a point guard. Jordan Goodwin is certainly not. He's a very good defender, but not a traditional point guard. They've got Colin Gillespie, who can do some good things, but you don't have a lot of like real point guard options on this team. Jared Butler you pick up, but maybe that's okay for Phoenix as they're trying to reconstruct their roster after the big Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant moves. And we'll see. It's going to take them time. I think they know it's going to take time. It's not going to be immediately that they've got a roster together that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that context in mind, I think they have time to figure it out. Not too much time because Booker's already 29, but they have a couple years here, I think, to really figure it out. I think the real question is, if you get a season of this, are you going to, hopefully, if you're the Suns, you end this season coming to the realization that Green and Booker can coexist. They can play together and it could be a good team. Maybe, I don't know if that means the roles have to be shuffled. Maybe Green has to be your sixth man. I don't know what they ultimately decide.
They're going to try playing him at point guard.
Exactly. They're going to try playing. I think it's going to be a by committee thing with him and Booker. Booker's got some experience doing it as well. And they were a 50-win team a couple years ago and Booker did it. But anyway, I think for them, they come to the realization ultimately, hopefully, that those two can play together and they can be a good team with those two. And you put the Dylan Brookses of the world around those guys and try to make the most of it. I think they could be relatively successful with that.
Yeah, I think that they can be like in the East. Could they be a play-in team?
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
or a playoff team. I think they could be a playoff team in the East.
In the West?
Probably. Yeah, the West is just weird because there's just so much depth. There's a glut of depth, you know, and a lot of teams that are like equivalently tiered, but like one injury away of just falling out entirely.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams and a lot of teams that have that depth to them. Book was good on defense in the Olympics, but not in the NBA, though. He really was good in the, but remember in the Olympics, he had a bunch of guys around him that could all score. So he got to just lock in on defense and said, hey, cool, these guys can handle it. That's not going to be the case here with Phoenix. He has to score the ball. With the Suns.
Absolutely. And that, Phoenix is going to look differently. He's going to have to be the primary offensive guy. But if you can put guys, that's why I said, like, I think Smart would have been nice. If you could put Smarts, Brooks, Dunn, Goodwin, these types of guys around him to where he has a very small defensive load, I think it could look pretty good. And that's not to say he can't defend, but he's going to have to shoulder the offense. So
now here's a little bit more on the whole Chris Paul thing, and then we'll move on to another player. But the Mavs had D'Angelo Russell higher on their free agent wish list than Chris Paul. And historically, all time, of course, D'Angelo Russell's nowhere near Chris Paul. But I actually think the Mavs made the right decision here. So I think the D'Lo is the better fit now with the Mavs and the better fit with Kyrie whenever he comes back. I think this actually makes sense. And he's not the best player, not the best defensive player, but if there was ever a team that was going to get away with having the defense of D'Angelo Russell out there on the floor, it would be this year's Mavs with AD, with Lively, with Gafford, all this rim protection, the wings like Max Christie. You've got, of course, Cooper Flagg. You've got Najee Marshall. They've got the pieces that I think can really make D'Lo fit here. So I don't think this is a crazy decision, despite that the fact that Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer and D'Angelo Russell is very certainly not.
Yeah, I think that for what they need, you know what, to be honest, I would really have liked Chris Paul's fit there. It's a bummer because he's so old. This is potentially his last year. I do wonder if he plays longer. We kind of brushed over that. I still think it's probably his last year, but I would have liked his fit there with guys like Lively, Gafford, and AD, because he is, if you know one thing, he's going to set those guys up, and it would look a lot like AD a couple years back. Remember when Rondo would come in and just absolutely maximize Anthony Davis?
Yes.
Like it would have looked a lot like that. And D'Lo had a good chemistry with AD, and they meshed really well when they were both in LA, and it looked good. You know, D'Lo, I think, was the leading assist man to AD and pick and rolls and stuff like that for the team. But I would have liked that, but I can understand wanting to go for D'Lo instead. And I think D'Lo probably can sit in that off-ball role as well, pretty well for them, like they're trying to do whenever they get Kyrie back as well. And also, you know, with Chris Paul, again, just the age thing, there's a whole host of things associated with that. So, and he's probably, I mean, Chris Paul has signed what, a minimum?
Yeah.
Do you think he would have signed a minimum for Dallas as well?
I think so. I think that's what he's at now at this point in his career.
Yeah.
At 40 years old.
I mean, he was an 8 assists per game guy last year.
He played in 82 games. I'm not expecting that out of him this year.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. We do have some more stuff to get into.
D'Lo's good.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. I think he's going to be good for the Mavs. All right. JJ with a super chat said, do you see a scenario where Jonathan Kuminga doesn't get signed with another team until mid-season, or he likely sits out because of his market right now? So just don't sign anything and go into the season unsigned. No, I think he would sign the qualifying offer before that. You really don't want to just go away for teams. I don't see him going into the season without having some type of resolution here on his contract. And the same is true of all the other guys that are restricted free agents. They're going to want to get, because if he just signs nothing, right, you go into the season, he's not under contract, he's also not getting paid, and guys tend to want to continue to get paid. So I don't see it where he goes into the season without signing a contract. I think he'll get something done one way or another. But Donnie, I mean, this was, Stein had it. We already knew Kuminga wanted $30 million, but Cam Thomas reportedly wants 30 million as well. At first it was 20, now it's 30. So I kind of wonder what's actually the truth there. The rumor is the
25.
Nets are giving him, the Nets are offering him 14 on a 2-year deal, and the Warriors rumored to be offering 40 over 2 years. So 20 per year from the Warriors on a 2-year deal. I think we're seeing two things with these guys where their incumbent teams, knowing that there's nowhere for them to really go, are offering, number one, below market value in terms of the amount of money, but number two, below market value in the terms of years too, because they're only offering 2-year deals. These guys are stuck, but somebody is going to take the qualifying offer, which should be terrifying to go, like Golden State. Jonathan Kuminga does that. Golden State is screwed. He's just gonna walk. He would have a no trade clause, a 1-year contract, and then could walk for nothing next summer from the Golden State Warriors. That's the reality that they're hoping to not see. And I still think at least one of these guys, Cam Thomas, Kuminga, Grimes, somebody, Josh Giddey, somebody's going to do it.
Is there a chance multiple of these guys do it?
Maybe. It could happen.
It could happen.
It's not the kind of risk you want to take. Like if there's anything else that you can do, you're going to want to do that, of course. But
who's the most likely? Because I can make an argument for Giddey.
I think Giddey has the highest qualifying offer, so that maybe makes him a little more likely. But I tend to think it's Cam Thomas. If we're really that far off, where the Nets are telling Cam Thomas that they're offering him, and this is from Stein here, they're offering him 14.1 million. They're offering him the tax or the MLE, the full MLE, over 2 years. Like, do you know how many teams next summer will have access to that for Cam Thomas?
Yeah.
Like, that's not expressing a lot of love from the Nets side of things.
So
I could see Cam Thomas being upset with that offer and saying, I'm out, especially if this is right that he actually wants 30, because Thomas got listed here. He's been listed as wanting 20 before. I would rather pay Kuminga or Giddey 30 than Thomas, but ideally, I wouldn't want to pay any of them 30.
Yeah, I don't think any of those guys are particularly worth 30. I think in certain situations you could talk yourselves into it. For example, Giddey, on him again. I think that Chicago has a few things they need to sort out with their guards there, but you can see it, I think, with Giddey as like an on-ball, jack of all trades type guy, going to get you, 17, 6, and 7 or something like that. And then he also flashed the 3-ball last year. Is that true? I guess we could see it. But for a guy that produces like that, I can see in today's climate for the contracts, 30 million. And Kuminga is an upside play. Is he going to turn into a quote unquote star like he seems to think he will? Does he have that potential in the right situation to do that? Thomas is weird because I don't know that he has, not to say he doesn't have the upside. I just don't think he has the same perception. I think for one, I think actually people kind of look at him as like that shot Tucker type of archetype, like a Jordan Clarkson or something like that. That's also inefficient, which he's actually more efficient than I think he gets credit for. But I don't know if he's ever going to be a $30 million player. And if Brooklyn isn't willing to give it to him, I don't know that he's going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it ultimately comes down to, like, what is Cam Thomas? Is he a high-scoring sixth man, or is he a starter? He thinks it's the latter. I think a lot of teams think it's the former.
Yeah.
And that's going to cap his market.
And I don't think any of these guys are going to get that $30 million unless the team is just like, fine, damn, we're tired of the drama. Just here. Okay. But I don't think any of these teams want to give any of these guys that amount. So you may see some of these guys settle, 25 or something like that. But yeah, I don't think any of these guys are going to. Maybe Kuminga is the most likely because he would be getting traded, I think, is what's going to wind up happening there. Ideally, that's what the Warriors want, to get something back. So maybe, you trade him, you get him at 30 and then trade him. But
the Kings are going to give 30 to Jonathan Kuminga, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, that's my thing too about that. That's why the Warriors, I think, should have traded Kuminga last offseason, because at that point they offered him 30. It's not like they didn't think at some point he was worth 30. They offered him this exact deal that he wants now, and they're saying no. That's
been refuted a little bit, just in that, like, was it an actual here is your contract, sign here offer, or was it just hypothetically talking? I think that's where some of it gets lost a little bit, where it was more just kind of talking back and forth instead of an official, like, set in stone, here's your contract waiting for you to sign type of offer. But nonetheless, yeah, that was reportedly the roughly the amount of money that was out there for him.
But if you're a team trying to acquire Kuminga, you have to basically sign him on good faith and faith that he is going to, in your system, turn into what you're projecting him to potentially be.
Exactly.
And that's why also they should have traded him so a team could have got a 1-year trial run instead of him toiling away on the back of the bench getting DMPs and stuff. So now
you're asking teams to pay him for what he's going to be and not what they already know he is.
I don't know what he is. Like, is he truly this or is he not? Like, I don't know. So that's where I think that's tricky, and that makes it hard to want to say I'm going to sign up for a $30 million 4 or 5 year deal. Like, I just can't do it.
It's hard because under the current collective bargaining agreement, mistakes are much more punishing, right? It hurts more if you make a mistake on somebody. So if you gamble that Kuminga is going to be worth $30 million and he's not, well, that's going to sting. And that's part of why the Warriors only want to give him 20, not because they necessarily want to keep him, but because they want to be able to trade him. And at 30, a bunch of teams will say, too high of a chance that that's going to be a bad contract. At 20, teams can say, well, he's still young. He'll have upside. Pretty good chance he will still have value, even if things don't work out. He's a guy who you could get stuck with at 30 million. Yeah. He's a guy that if it doesn't work, you could move on from at 20 million. And that's the difference. And that's what teams have to consider now when they're looking at things. What is the floor? Is there a way out if this does not work? As much as we may believe that it's going to work, is there a way out if it doesn't? And that's why we're seeing so much non-guaranteed money get put into deals and things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So for him, do you think there's any chance that he does take a deal that's got, like a 2-year team option or non-guarantee, this and that, or maybe a shorter term deal just to get his money now and then prove his worth elsewhere? Like, does he have to take a full extension?
He may need to. He may need to do something that's, is anybody giving him 4 years, 30 million per year?
That's
Probably
what I'm saying.
Not.
Like,
so if he's,
and I wouldn't want to do that.
If he's willing to do it though, if they can get creative with it and find a way that the back end is beneficial to him too, maybe do something where it's, I'm trying to remember whose deal had it. I know Josh Hart's had it, but somebody else just got one too, where it's non-guaranteed and a player option on the deal so that he has an out as well at the end of it, because there's a chance that Jonathan Kuminga, let's say it's a 3-year deal. There's a chance that by the 3rd year, Jonathan Kuminga is a star and he wants out of the contract just as bad as the team would want out in the other event. So there's a chance that if he's getting 30 instead of the full max money that he would want, that he might want out too, if he's as good as he seems to think he is. But we don't know that. We won't know that until he gets the kind of opportunity that he wants. So maybe there's something there where you could build in flexibility for both the team and Kuminga.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's certainly on the table. And to a lesser extent, I think it's on the table for some of the other guys. It looks like we were about to get to Grimes, but he is an absolute question mark for me, just for the record, because he had a really good stint in such a small sample size that I'd be questioning paying him potentially 25 or whatever it is as well too.
Well, especially when you just drafted VJ Edgecombe.
That too.
So that's the challenge, I think, for Philly. And there was that quote that's going around right now about a GM or exec. I'll find it.
Oh, yeah.
Said something
NBA
effective.
Central had that.
Yeah, like why sign Quentin Grimes to 20 million if you can have Gary Trent Jr. for a minimum? I feel like we're comparing apples to oranges there.
I think it depends on the role you'd put them in. Like if they're just going to be a spot up guy, okay.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to marginalize Grimes a little bit like that,
but
just
Grimes can do so much more.
Yeah, that's why I said he gets marginalized.
Yeah.
So. But I mean, is there a $20 million difference there? Or like, I guess in this case, a minimum, which $17 million difference there in production?
Yeah.
I don't know that there is.
I mean, like, you could put the ball in the hands of Grimes and ask him to create something for you, though. You can't really do that with Trent. And Grimes, I think, can defend better than Trent can. Like, if we want to put it as, is he really worth 5 times as much, 6 times as much, 7 times as much, right? Like, that's okay. Maybe we're pushing it a little bit there, but some of these guys you're going to have to pay for. Like, if you can get Grimes at 15 million, I think you got to be thrilled with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what I think this is? I think this is more about Trent. I don't think Trent is a minimum player.
You think this exec, instead of really commenting on Quentin Grimes, this is
I think this
Gary Trent Jr. is better than what people are giving him credit for.
Yeah, I think this skews more that way in my book, because there's some questions, like I said earlier, with Grimes, but I think he will ultimately be worth. He's only like 24 years old. He's a very versatile player, better defender than he gets credit for. I can see a world where he's worth like 18 to 20. I'm not mad at that, really, especially as the cap goes up. I'm not mad at that. But I don't know that Trent is somebody that should be on a minimum deal either, right? And I don't know that there's, like I said, a $17-18 million difference in production or skill set from these guys. But I think that's just because in the current landscape of the NBA, if you're not either a star or a young player, you're oftentimes going to take either that minimum or one of the exceptions, and that's mostly it.
Right.
Like, that's where contracts are structured nowadays. And so for somebody like him that maybe around like 8 to 10 in that range, teams don't really give those contracts out anymore.
Yeah, and that's where teams are trying to be more careful with those deals.
Because they don't have a choice, though, because those add up on you. So.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's go here. We do need to talk a little bit about the buyout thing, but I thought this was interesting. The Wizards, before they actually bought out Marcus Smart, they talked trade for Smart with Miami, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. And Atlanta consider absorbing Smart into their traded player exception, their TPE, before they went ahead with Kristaps Porzingis and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Milwaukee was interested in Smart, but the Bucks also looked at Andrew Wiggins as a target. So some Eastern Conference teams actually looking to make some moves. Obviously, they weren't able to get it done, but multiple teams after Marcus Smart, some even considered just trading for him. Obviously, whatever was going to be coming back to Washington was not enough to make it worthwhile compared to just buying out Marcus Smart. And on top of that, the Bucks being a target for Andrew Wiggins. That was interesting too.
Yeah, it seems like a number of teams are trying to do something with Wiggins. I think Wiggins would have been a nice fit on that team, actually. I don't know if there's anything else there, but yeah, that's the first we're hearing of that.
Yeah. So that's interesting that was a target of theirs.
Yeah. And it said Golden States. So that tells me it was prior to the trade.
Explore potential trades for Smart and Golden State's Andrew Wiggins. I don't know if it was just a mistake,
typo,
or if it was before the Jimmy Butler trade that they were trying to do that.
Okay, yeah, because if it's Golden State's, it's one of those two things. But yeah, I think you'd fit pretty nicely there as well alongside Giannis. But Connaughton, $9.4 million. Obviously he was going to pick up that option. I do wonder about him, if he's just over the hill or if he has any chance to
I think
back.
I think that's probably where this is going with Connaughton. Yeah. And he did a great job for the Bucks for years, but it was pretty clear that they needed.
Isn't he only like 31?
How old is he now? He might be.
I think he's like 31, right? Am I crazy?
Pat Connaughton is 33.
33. Okay.
You gave him more credit there.
Oh, yeah. Wiggins is the one that's 31.
Wiggins is 31. Yep. Yep.
Okay. He probably is over the hill now. Yeah. But he was pretty good for them for a while, but
he was. All right. We should finish up talking a little bit about the whole Vucevic thing. I talked about it a little bit on Lakers Nation last night, but Nikola Vucevic, the whole buyout thing, I don't think that's going to be a thing that happens anytime soon. It's far more likely that a player is going to get bought out in season rather than during the summer. It obviously has happened quite a bit this summer, but it even got, not only was it misaggregated, but it got like re-aggravated, the Vucevic thing, and that was from Jake Fisher. It was weird. It was like 4 or 5 days ago, and then it got picked up again like yesterday. So this whole Vucevic thing got blown out of proportion, I think.
Yeah. I think he's one of those guys that people have been kind of keeping their eye on for a while. But yeah, absolutely. It was something that popped up and then just seemingly popped up again. Do you think that there's a good chance he winds up getting bought out, or?
I would think that it's only if they get through the trade deadline and they haven't found a trade.
So not an off season.
I don't.
That's tricky because if it's in season, the teams that would probably be looking at him wouldn't want to pick him up, or can't actually pick him up because of the CBA. So
because the first year apron thing. So the teams that are above the first year apron would not be eligible to sign him unless Vooch was just given back a ton of money. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, I think, for the Bulls to buy him out. Now,
unless they want to clear up rotation minutes, that's also something to consider.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just. But for who?
I mean, who knows what they're planning there?
The Bulls are kind of Kings East right now, but still, I think Stein's point here. Why on earth would the Bulls waive him in the middle of summer? It doesn't make sense for them to do that right now. Now the Bulls have made a habit of waiting too long to trade players, and they've done it to their detriment for years now. You can argue, as Stein notes here, you can argue that they did it with Vooch. I just don't see any reason why they would actually waive him. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. They don't really even have another center on the roster. Like I guess Zach Collins. They're going to put Buzelis at center. That's what they're going to do. They're trying to free up all the front court minutes for Buzelis.
I mean, Zach Collins is fine, but Matas Buzelis is going to play center for them. No. I like this. It doesn't make sense. Then the Bulls are definitely doing it.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't know why you would just. But I mean, maybe he wants a buyout, and maybe given the context that I said earlier, where like the actual contending teams, most of them probably can't pick him up, and maybe he has a team in mind, and he's willing to give up a good amount of money, and they're willing to work with him on that. I think, regardless of if it literally makes sense, sometimes they do favors like that, so that could be something that's on the table. But yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Bulls organizationally to do. They should try to absolutely trade him and get something back if possible.
I've got a comment here that says Vooch isn't the most obvious Warrior on a buyout. He would wind up being with the Golden State Warriors. The problem is with the Warriors, they're probably going to run into that first apron thing that Donnie is talking about, where if you're above the first apron, you can't sign a player who's bought out that's making more than the mid-level exception. And right now, the Warriors are not in that situation. But once they resolve the Kuminga situation, which is part of the reason why they're not resolving the Kuminga situation right now, once they resolve that and sign Horford and Melton, they'll probably be a first apron team.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying, like, he's probably already aware of that. Say he wanted to go there. He's aware of that. And maybe he's willing to work with them on a buyout and they help him so he can get there in the offseason.
Jalen Smith. I mean, it depends on if you see him as more 5 or 4.
Yeah, I didn't mention him because he's more of like a tweener, but it's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. They have a couple guys that are like that.
Let's go here. Sam said, hi, Trev and Donnie. 3-team trade idea. All right, let's go. 3-team trade. The late. What are we giving up here? The Lakers are getting Lively, our old friend Max Christie back, and a Mavs second-round pick. I'm worried about what they're giving up here.
AR-15.
Dallas gets Reeves, Okongwu from Atlanta. Okay. And the Lakers 2026 first-round pick, they actually can't trade that. They can't trade that pick right now. They can trade it once it's not a pick. They could trade it draft night in 2026 once it's not a pick anymore, but their 2027 pick is already spoken for in a trade. So that means they cannot trade that 2026 first round pick. You could turn it, you could say 2031 pick if you wanted to. Atlanta gets PJ Washington. Oh, and the 2031 first, and Dwight Powell's expiring. So ultimately, is Atlanta trading Onyeka Okongwu for PJ Washington and a first? Value-wise, I don't hate that, but is that really what the Hawks are trying to go for right now, is picking up more draft capital? No, I think they're trying to push and go win right now in a wide open Eastern Conference. And so I think they're going to keep Okongwu and see how he fits with Porzingis. As far as Donnie had to jump out for a second. As far as the Mavs side of this, the Mavs would wind up getting Reeves and Okongwu. I kind of like that for the Mavs. They get Reeves, Okongwu, and a first. They have to give up Lively and Christie. I mean, you could argue between Lively and Okongwu, which one you'd rather have. I'd probably lean Lively, but Okongwu is very good as well. But you're getting Reeves plus a first. I think that's pretty good for the Mavs. As far as the Lakers side of it, they don't have 2 firsts to give, but 2 firsts and Reeves for Lively and Christie. I don't think I would do that if I'm the Lakers. Now, of course, the final thing, are the Mavs actually trading with the Lakers again? Probably not. Probably not. I don't think that would happen. And yes, defense wins chips, according to Nico. So they're not going to do that. And Dallas would not trade with the Lakers again unless they are easily winning that. Read an article about Vooch earlier today, and I was quoted. I gave my opinion. I didn't. Hopefully, they didn't present it as something that I was reporting, but I gave my opinion of the Vooch. I did see some of that was going around earlier today. Hopefully, they aggregated that properly. All right, everybody. We'll see what goes on here. We'll see what ultimately happens with the restricted free agents. A lot still happening around the NBA right now. We're waiting for resolutions there with them. We're also looking to see these final few free agents that are. I'm shocked Malcolm Brogdon is still sitting out there. That's interesting. He must have somewhere that he's trying to get to, because Malcolm Brogdon still sitting out there is definitely a surprise. Russell Westbrook, where he's going to land, all these restricted guys, all of that needs to get resolved. Lots of stuff still going on. Maybe a contract extension coming for Luka here. August 2nd is the first date that he could sign that. That's coming up fast. All kinds of stuff going on around the league right now. But I do want to take a moment and say thank you all very much for being part of the Basketball Bulletin. We truly, truly appreciate all of you joining. If you have not subscribed yet, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button. Again, this was kind of impromptu, off the cuff. We just decided, you know what? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's just go live and bring everybody into the process and talk about it with all of you. So again, thank you, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.